Let's say hello to Gemma Godfrey, though. Gemma, very good afternoon to you.
Hello.
So, I mean, I have to say my heart slightly sinks when I see a story that says the cap's gone down to £3,280. It's still an awful lot of money, isn't it?
It is still a lot of money, and obviously the thing that's really concerning is we're still going to be paying more, and that's because there are three things at play here. You've got the price cap, which is the amount that the regulator prohibits our suppliers to charge us any more than that. Fine. That's coming down, and so it's great news that the wholesale energy prices are coming down, but we've been protected by two other things. One is the energy price guarantee, which has been lower than that. Yeah. So we've actually been paying less, and that's set to rise. And the third thing is the discount scheme. So hopefully people have been seeing that £66 being knocked off of their energy bills each month, and that's stopping. So that means that up until between April and July, people's energy bills are going to be higher.
Yes, because I had a whopper of an energy bill, funnily enough, this last quarter, 466 quid. And I'm pretty sure that when I moved in, and this is for a one-bedroom flat, when I moved in, I'm pretty sure, which was maybe 10 years ago, it was about 120. I mean, it's like literally quadrupled over the course of 10 years, which is extraordinary.
It is. I mean, absolutely. And I think the big concern here is we're not talking about a luxury item here. You haven't been going out and spending money on something that is essential. It's energy prices. And of course, that also feeds into food prices. Right. So it's really the essential goods that people are struggling with. And you were obviously hit with a very big bill because it was winter, but it's still not warm enough yet. So we still do need some support. So for people to be, hit by this before we enter the summer, is a big concern, because actually there's good news coming into the summer that actually from July onwards, actually prices should continue to fall. Yeah. But until that point, it's going to be a real struggle for people to find more money. Where are they going to make it?
Well, exactly. A lot of people ask me as well, Gemma, why is it still so expensive for electricity? Because it's tied to the gas price, that's fine. However, the gas price has gone down, but it doesn't seem to have affected the price of electricity.
I mean, the supply is still really tight, which means that prices are still higher. So we still have that problem with getting supply. We're also fighting more countries for supply as well, since we had the crisis in Ukraine. But what's happened is that the government has stepped in and subsidised our energy prices. So the reason here why the good news should be that everything's falling is that actually we've had a much lower energy price than we would have if we were just buying it, naturally in the marketplace. So we've got an artificially low energy price that us as consumers are paying, and the government is withdrawing that subsidy, withdrawing that support from us, which means that while prices are falling, we're actually paying more because we're getting less of a discount and less support.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I mean, out of that 466 that I was having to pay, some I suppose 180 of that was paid for by the government. I'm not in favour of that, by the way, but there will be people who will really feel that not being there, won't they? What can they do? Can they do anything?
I mean, it's a really tough time, because also the other thing that makes it more complicated is that it depends on the size of your house. It depends on the ways of paying. So I think one of the things to look at, one of the easiest things to look at is the way of paying, that sometimes it's cheaper and easier to be paying by direct debit, and energy companies will provide a bit of a discount for that. People with prepay meters, I mean, they have to do, a lot of people have to be on that, but, they're being stuck with, paying a premium for that in some cases. So look at the ways of paying. But what's really hard is what the advice used to be is go out and see if you can fix it. Go out and see if you can find a good deal. But actually, with prices coming down, do you want to be fixing it at a higher rate? It's very, very hard at the moment. And in some respects, it's just, keep an eye on the market. But really, it's tough at the moment.
Absolutely. There isn't really any choice out there, is there? I mean, most places are charging you exactly the same money, really. And people are wary as well. I always tell them to be wary of power companies taking a direct debit, because they can sometimes take more money from you than you're expected to pay.
That's true, and actually one of the best things to do at the moment is then have a smart meter, because then at least you can check. So rather than the energy companies guessing how much energy they think you're using, you can really monitor it. And also the other good thing about having an energy meter, and you can do this on an app on your phone, is you can monitor it yourself. And hopefully try and use energy when it's cheaper, when it's off-peak hours and things like that, that actually you could try and control the cost yourself rather than
because, I mean, one of the knock-on effects at the moment, of course, is this supposed shortage of certain things. I mean, it depends where you go, obviously, because in some places there are no shortages at all. But people who are saying there's supermarkets with no tomatoes, it's because a lot of the growers are not willing to spend the extra money to put electricity on to switch lights on the fruit.
It's such a tough time at the moment, because Absolutely. If you think about the knock-on effect with our food, it goes all the way back to fertilizer. You know, you need energy for fertilizer, so you need energy then to create the grain to feed animals.
Right.
You need energy then. I mean, so you're using energy the whole way through that chain to be able to produce food, and then obviously transporting it and things like that as well. So that is why we're seeing a magnified effect in really essential goods like bread and milk in our supermarkets as well.
Yeah. So what do you think by sort of summer, say quarters, as we go into the third quarter of the year, do you think the prices will have come down closer to where they were sort of, you know, before all this happened?
Oh, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, to go down to before this all happened, I think it's going to take longer for all these issues to, to even it out. But the good news is that it is predicted that actually this price cap, so the off-gen price cap, could fall to £2,100. So that is, again, another, you're knocking off, again, over £1,000 off of that coming into the summer. And the other side of it is we hopefully are going to be using less energy, because let's hope that we've got a nice warm summer and we don't need to be heating our houses, and it'll be light for longer as well. We don't need as much light either.
Yes.
So hopefully those two sides, we should have a better summer. And the hope is let's not have another really tough winter.
I think there'll be a lot of people cooking outside as well, going, we're not going to put the oven on, we're just going to get the old barbecue fired up. So we'll see. Gemma, thank you very much indeed. Gemma Godfrey, consumer expert there on the news that the price cap is now falling down to $3,280 a year for a typical household. That might be less than you're paying now, it might be more than you're paying now, but it's still an awful lot of money. And of course, because the government's aid scheme is going to disappear, you're not going to get the £66 a month. So for the next quarter, you're going to be 180 quid short.